now in the season of Christmas, and let us all keep the word of your God, the Lord Jesus Christ, in our hearts during this holiday season. Amen.
Amen.
Christy, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Commissioner Lopez.
Present.
Commissioner Loudon.
Present.
Commissioner Moulter.
Present.
Approval of the agenda.
Commissioner, I have one item that I would table and with regard to getting some business item number D.
Consideration of incentivized retirement for 2017. We will have to make a decision on that before the end of the year.
Indeed, I think that we just simply, I don't have any addition, I need some additional information.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to, is there anything else?
Selena informs me that we no longer need the consideration of bills, as we just approved those in the last meeting under financial matters.
Oh, for human services? Okay.
Yes, so item 9B, we can remove.
9B.
Oh, this one.
Bill?
That is it.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Moulter,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez.
Yes.
Commissioner Loudon.
Yes. Before we get started here, Tom Murphy is putting these meetings out over YouTube or they're live, but what he really needs is for people to speak into the microphone. So if any of you in the audience, we're going to ask you to come up and speak here at this microphone so that it can be picked up and the people out in the. If you're sitting back there and you're speaking, we're not picking it up. So we're going to ask everybody to come up to the microphone and speak into the microphone so that the public is given that opportunity to hear what people have to say. With that, regular meeting minutes of October 17th.
Sorry, I just wanted to kind of see if it was going. That's all.
Is it working?
It is working.
All right. So in other words, you're going to watch it there to make sure we're doing it.
It's also nice because it doesn't show me. That was the best part.
I don't have what minutes do you
Yeah, they were submitted electronically.
October 17th and November 7th.
I have the 21st.
That one.
The date on the 21st is,
So that's really the 17th.
the minutes, Selena, is indicating that our dated regular meeting for November 21 is really the 17th, and that has to be corrected and changed.
So we have the 17th and the 21st.
Yeah, the 17th was a Friday. None of us were here. So it did.
I was.
Well, then it is 21st.
7th, right?
October 17th.
Is that 7th or 17th?
Well, in October.
October.
Okay, October 17th.
Oh.
That's October 17th.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, that's a Tuesday.
That works,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that's a Tuesday.
That sounds better.
So what it is saying is the regular meeting of November 21st, but then when you get into the minutes, it's the regular meeting of Tuesday, October the 17th. So
Yes.
we need to change.
Well, the October 17 is item 2A. Is that correct?
Right.
And the minutes need to be corrected from November 21st to October 17th.
Yeah.
Got it.
Goodness, got all that now?
Did you get that?
So that date is the 21st is the actual,
Is the 17th.
all right.
It's October 17th instead of November 21st.
Yes.
I'll make motion to approve with corrections.
Second?
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Mulcher.
Yes.
Was that
Mr.
for
Lapp.
both sets of minutes? or just
Yes,
that one?
yes, a clarification of
Both,
both October 17th and November 7th.
okay. Number 7,
Are you okay with that? Okay.
Yeah, I read it.
okay. Motion to approve action.
And I vote yes.
Thank you. Correction.
Reading of correspondence, Commissioner Committee reports. Commissioner Lopez?
Like I said in our DHS meeting, we attended the CCI conference last week. Very informative, a lot of meetings, a lot of learning for me, for myself. Very educational. We have some great ideas brought back with me. There's some funding out there. There's some grants out there, especially for our sheriff's department, that they can go and apply for. We can as a board, but the sheriff's department, there's some new funding out there for sheriff's offices across the state. So, being out there for 3 days was very insightful. There also is going to be possibly for cognitive care, an increase of county percentage of up to 30% from 20% on DHS. They're working it out right now as we speak. God willing, it doesn't increase to the counties, but if it does, it's going to cost us more money. That's one of the major hurdles that they're trying to look at right now. So, sorry, Christie.
I know, you
I didn't tell you that either.
just look at my face, right? Yeah.
So there might be a 10% increase on that department, so. Other than that, we also, like I said, we got to be there for the adoptions of 5 children last week upstairs, which was very enlightening. It was a beautiful moment to see those little kids with their new families, so. And that's all I got.
Well, I got to attend CCI with Commissioner Lopez, and I too learned a lot. Got to discuss issues in other counties with other county commissioners. Personally got to thank Governor Hickam for my appointment. Some of the stuff he discussed, he did congratulate us on passing our ballot measures down here. He talked about how the state of Colorado is the second fastest growing state in the nation. Right now, new housing is about 5% behind growth. They're trying to figure out ways to build housing for the chronically homeless, and they're trying to get broadband to every town in the state of Colorado. That's one of the state's goals right now. Last year they spent about $9 million. This year they're going to try to spend between $40 and $50 million in broadband. Spoke of some education issues, and he said the last 3 years Medicaid costs have been flat, so there really hasn't been a decrease in cost, or been staying pretty flat. So, it was neat to hear different issues around the state with other commissioners. One of the issues was the 10% increase in the county match. They really did not get any of the county's opinion, or so there was a little. There was a few things, but that's about all I have. Really enjoyed myself, learned a lot. It's a big eye-opener, and how we can get more funding into our county.
Question, with regard to that 10% match, but given that you were at CCI, Didn't anyone there indicate that they were going to try to fight that?
CCI is actually looking into arguing that case on our behalf for the
Yeah.
county, so. But to add to that, Mr. Loudon here wasn't able to attend, but he was well missed. He's very
Yeah.
well respected in the state among county commissioners, and I'd like to thank you for opening the doors for us, because Los Animas County, oh, Mac Loudon, Commissioner Loudon, so your reputation precedes you, and
That's scary.
and Los Animas County was the talk of CCI. For winning the 3 ballot measures, we were the hot topic to overcome it. A lot of counties were asking Commissioner Moulter and I how we did this, how we overcame it, and it was because of you folks. It was a community effort. And that's basically what everybody coming together, we wouldn't have been successful, but that was the hot topic of the conference, was of how Los Angeles County passed 3 ballot measures.
Well, I appreciate you guys going and learning. It's really good that we have young brains up there so that you can bring it back. Do we have any public comment?
What we need,
Was there something else?
she's going to check.
Okay.
I don't think we do. Maybe an agenda.
Were you, Carlos, are you on that road deal? Is that what?
Yes.
Okay. And Bob, same thing? Okay. We'll take that later on then. County Administrator Report.
This past period, we have been exceedingly busy in Christie getting together some budgets, trying to put in the estimations and working with all of the elected officials to get 2018 budget together so that it would reflect the sales tax. We also, as recently as last Friday, we had to resubmit the underfunded budget for the county. And there were some questions with regard to use of a contractor that appeared to be a sole source, and we had to correct for that. So in spite of working on other items, we had to stop and do that. We did do that. We changed the budget amount on that underfunded contract to $755,000. We received an additional increase in request at their recommendation. So that is an item for the commissioners to determine. On December 15, they're requesting our presence in Denver to discuss that. They would like a commissioner present, and it would be for the structural here at the courthouse and also the roof. This has been in some time in the works, so this sounds positive. I thought that was the case. Christie's nodding. The other thing is that we were immediately upon winning the election, what we did is we had to provide to the state all of the information about the ballots, the certification of the results of the election, and we had to indicate what we were going to be doing by way of collections for both the sales tax, and we got all of that information in. Also, I believe it was on Friday, we had to kind of stop what we were doing and address some rumors that we did not do that. So did contact the state again and verify with them that indeed we had everything in and that we are able and will be able to collect sales tax. We did, Christie got together a letter, and yesterday, as a matter of fact, I believe she's almost done with that process, but would
We're done.
Done, very good. And would like to thank Commissioner Lopez and Commissioner Moulter and Commissioner Lopez's children for helping us to stuff the thousands of letters. How many was it, Christie?
1,150.
1,150 letters to vendors stating that this is your notice that Los Animas County does indeed have a sales tax.
With 3 paper cuts.
And, yes, and 3 paper cuts for your youngest, right? Brave little soul. And the other thing is that I would like to make a note that with regard to what Commissioner Moulter says about the broadband, we have for the past 10, 20 years, I believe, possibly, the county has had an agreement with Comcast. It's a franchise agreement, and it provides them the sole source for providing service to the county. We have not re-upped that agreement. However, in the agreement, it indicates that we have a month-by-month follow-up. I've been in discussion with a gentleman from Government Affairs for Comcast. They don't like it, but we're looking, I wanted more information, because it is one reason that broadband, when years ago, when they got this franchise, it is one of the reasons that the broadband has not been able to go out further in the county. Some years ago, while we were working on the set item for Stronger Economies Together with Raton Basin Economic Development, it was then that the Comcast had sole provision for providing service. And so the money, they would have to decline, and it kind of locked out some of these other folks. So it is, I think, timely that we resurface that contract. And they really want us to keep it in place. The amount of money that we get annually is about $1,234. And so years ago, people possibly did not consider the importance to the economy for broadband. And so that's one thing that reminds me now that Commissioner Moulter brought it up. I was also met this morning at the doors. I arrived by an attorney who would like to ask for a work session with the county. Apparently, many of the counties in the state are being approached to go ahead and sue the pharmaceuticals over the opioid addiction that is going forward. I told him that we would look at the materials that he's presented. It was, again, as you indicated, I didn't even bring them. It was a little booklet. But I told him we would provide it to the attorney and that we would look at it, that we wouldn't just automatically jump on it. We do understand that the opioid addiction is getting to be rather grave, given that the state has mandated that the prescribers of opioids can only give a 7-day prescription now. And so those who have been taking them for years and years and that are addicted, they are now not able to get them, and they are hitting the streets and getting heroin. And it is impacting this state. The reason they came to Los Animas County is because we are the #1 county that, by statistically, that has had deaths, and they've recorded 93. And I just barely looked at it. But this is a thing that is going to be something that they're asking us to look at, and he wanted to get with you and notify you that possibly after the first of the year that he would like a work session to be able to come present this item. This is definitely something I would provide to the attorney before we do anything of that nature. So aside from that, I believe that other than getting all of the items, there's one item on the use tax that we have yet to address because we have a little bit of time on that, and that would be that we will have to go forward. And we got a recommendation from Pueblo County that we work with, from the state, that we work with Pueblo County because they do a very good job on the use tax, and that we should change our permitting to include that requirement immediately. We don't know that much about it, but we will be learning about it. So aside from that, that's my report.
Exciting time to have all these headaches.
Road and Bridge Supervisor.
While he's getting here, Commissioners, I would like to say that one thing that we do and will be doing is that to indicate to the community and also to our elected officials that while the indication is that the sales tax money will not be collected by the state and returned to the county until March, that does not, that we will have to clarify for our staff and others that the budget is effective for January 1, is it not, Christie?
Yes.
So we're hearing some associated rumors that staff are thinking, or certain folks are indicating that those who did go out and get other jobs, that they would have a notice through March, but it would be effective earlier than that, I believe. So we'll clarify that in probably a press release or something moving forward. Sorry, Phil.
Morning, Commissioners. Our contracted crusher has finished, so that bid is done with. That in mind, the haul crew is still in the Kim area. They're hauling out of the Shannon pit now to roads south of the Kim area. We have a few trucks up here hauling around and spotting us some gravel on the Trinidad end also. All of our grants are caught up. We've got all the work done. I'm just waiting on final billings from a couple of vendors, and we'll have those wrapped up. That's all I have.
Have any questions for Phil?
He's already gone.
I said, do you have any questions for Phil? And thank you, Phil. Consideration of Jet A filtration and piping upgrade for airport.
This item is an item of old business that was tabled in consideration of additional information with regard to the bidding process. And I issued a memo with regard to this. I think the clearest way to describe this is that it's not like going out and buying tires or a thing. This is something that has to be installed and put forth. I spoke with CSV, that is the vendor for Phillips, that really assisted a great deal. And the background on this is that at the time that we got the inspection report, we had a critical deficiency with regard to the fueling because the filters it was too far away from the source of the fuel. And we had to correct it. It's new regulations. And so as a result, what we did is they reissued the request for bids. There are essentially 3 vendors that can provide the service. Mr. Crabtree on item number TWS is the one that is the first one listed on in your booklet. But the second one is Cutter with Mr. Crabtree, and he said that he had worked on the old farm. This is even before the current one that we have at the airport. And I'd like you to compare the 2 bids. You can see that while his is lower, it's $9,908, the detail of the information is not quite the same. And the information provided by the oversight people, it being the CSV, Breezy, I believe that we have, and I'm going to refer to you to page number, it's a nice picture. I first refer to you to page 13. You'll see that I identified that as a hose location. That is where the fuel is being dispensed, but you go way, way back to where it's being held. And you'll see the next picture is the guy that was doing the inspection. That long white pipe is where the fuel is traveling through. And then the next picture is way that big holding place for the fuel. That is why they're saying it's too far away from the filter point. The next picture on page number 15, that's what they're talking about, has to be installed, a little filter point inside. And so they have to take things apart, put things together. And this filter on page 16 is the one that they're looking at for that separator. The people that do this are few and far between. And so this TWS is an aviation fuel systems group that LACBCC went ahead and contracted or talked to first. There's a number of emails that I've also had provided in there. They are the ones that are being recommended. The page that, what I did on the page 1, the memo to you, is indicating their indication of ability. You'll note that under TWS, they're indicating that they're most knowledgeable, and their quote is expired. It's for $13,000. I believe that they can, that would revise that upward. That's what Greasy indicated, that they were holding on to that quote. The second one under this gentleman with Bud Crabtree, he is asking, you'll note there that he wants 50% payment before he even starts. And then the Easton Metals that can possibly do it, they did not reply. They do primarily the motors, but not aviation. They have one office in Arvada, and they did not respond to the request for bid on the first round, and they did not respond on this round. Where we are right now is that we are right about at the end of the grace period for Phillips and I get called almost, I was called yesterday again to say, where do we stand on this item? If we do not go ahead and comply with this regulation, Phillips will stop selling the fuel. Our fuel revenues last month were $28,000. Christy tells me that they average about $13,000 to $14,000 a month. We're hearing that pilots, and particularly last month, it was so high because of likely due to the hunting season, and a lot of hunters came in via the piloting, and so it just really has to be done. And I have worked with Breezy and with Steve throughout this process. I think they're very sincere, and knowing what little I know about this process, I'd be inclined to go with the $13,000 because of the comfort zone.
Did they give you any timeline of how long it would take to install this and fabricate? A day, 2 days, 3 days? Was there any type of?
I think what has to, once they identify it, Commissioner, is we would have to get them located here because they're not here. And they all had to come down and
Greenwood
look at
Village.
it. And so, but I could find that out for you, and we would
Well,
definitely.
the reason why I ask is because the expenditure for the labor is $3,000. That's a lot of money if they're just doing a couple welds for a couple hours, so.
But it's installing, well,
So, that's why I wanted to see what the timeline is to installation.
I
And then
can
on the
do
other
that.
bid, it's for $10,000, but it doesn't include shipping. So, I mean, he could add another $2,000 in shipping or,
yes, he could, and he also could
or
add,
electrical, yeah.
and he doesn't have that specificity that,
Neither one of them are doing electric. TWS is not doing electrical
Okay.
either. And they're in the concrete pad, the forklift rental, inbounding shipping on filter elements and gammon parts. I don't know. Looking at those filters, I don't know that we need a forklift. Maybe they're bigger than what they look like in the picture.
Yeah, it doesn't look that big. So we would have to continue with a pad for that?
A small pad,
What, did they give the dimensions of it?
no. And I think that if you look back on, where were we, 14 or 15 on the picture? And, in retrospect, and perhaps that should be, is these guys are, they represent small airports throughout the West, and so they're they could come, if you look at 15, that's that standard housing design that he's providing. And then there are the emails from this Bob fellow. So I think that's what he means, the pad. They've got to have this filter in between there. Short of that, they would have to move the whole pipe, and they'd have to move the stations. That would be really costly.
Well, I think we can try to do the concrete pad in-house, right?
Well, that's what I was wondering. what the
With maintenance,
dimensions-
or how does that work?
I was gonna ask Bill myself. Bill?
He's still here.
Bring this concrete pad in the house.
Come up to the,
I'll show you the picture.
without knowing what the dimensions are, I don't know. I mean, is it 6 yards or?
Well, he's got the
Yard.
dimensions in,
So the pad would be to support this filtering framework.
they're giving these dimensions. That's the dimension of the picture, but
We also, do we have a forklift?
We have a tractor out there.
And we also have a forklift too, if that would reduce the bid significantly. Yeah, if we're directed to pour a pad, we'll pour a pad. Get maintenance to help us. But we can do it. Just need to know bolt patterns so we can put the J-hooks in the correct locations and what they're needing.
Well,
They indicate to Ms. Fraser about when they were going to stop selling us fuel if we didn't get this completed?
he said that we are in grace period right now, that we're grace period. They've been contacted by Phillips, and so I didn't ask him how long. I just, two things will be operable. Number one, if we stop selling the fuel, we still have to fix this, presumably. If we're stopped by Phillips, then I don't know if we're talking haste or urgency or what, but they want to have some indication that we are going to get compliant with this issue. Even if we say today, let's go ahead and move forward, there will be a timing element. So it seems to me that we have to do it. And I would like to see it done with the people that have the specificity with it. It just, as much as I know about it, which is very little, I know that when I look at things and I see graphs and models and the pictures and what they're talking about, I feel a lot better than when I see this other one, give me half of your money down, and here's what you'll get, and it's in generic terms. And so that's why I recommend them. It's something we have to do.
Do we have the funding for that, Christie?
Airport has a budget for it, for maintenance. And I'll tell you, airport has not spent a lot this year. They've been very frugal.
Can we use lottery funds for this?
I can call and I could ask about that, to see about that.
Because that's already there, that's been existing and doesn't cost the county anything. if
I'll
it's
make a note
available.
to actually.
I
call
would
and
like
see.
to add, too, that I spoke with Dixie about this at some length after the last meeting, and I believe that she indicated that, she says, since there are only 3 companies in the area that have the proper certification and skills to do the work, given this, she said she's fine with getting proposals from those companies and having the board consider those. And she said that from a public perspective, that you would be getting proposals from companies that are qualified and taking actions on those. But if we wanted And there again, we could go statewide, and even going statewide, I believe they've already done so, region-wide. And we just want to mitigate whatever the risks are with I would suspect that while they're doing this, they're going to, on that Jet A fuel, that there would be a period that we would have some notification to say, hey, that fuel's not going to be done, but I do think that they would move forward quickly.
Well, we tabled this well back because we didn't have bids in front of us. Now we do.
Right.
We just, how much we spent on the runway with the FAA funds?
It's about 6 million.
We have a brand-new runway out there, and
We
we
do.
can't sell fuel. So I
Right.
think we're at a point where we need to,
Additionally, I think that the CSV people are aware of our financial situation and had offered, Christie and I discussed this, they had offered to go ahead and pay upfront, and then we would pay them in installments if we didn't have the funds. But we decided that the $13,000 was something that we could, under the airport fund, go ahead and swing, and just not have to worry about paying anybody back.
Well, I think it needs to be done. The only issue that I see right now are the exclusions. You know, I was hoping that they would include the electrical. I mean, that way, they're gonna be doing the project. It would be easier for them just to bring on an electrician to describe what they need to be done instead of,
I could tell them that. You know, I think that when they say for the sump heater, would that be short in duration?
Well, and I guess I agree with Commissioner Moulter on this, is that if they do the whole job and something goes wrong, then that's where we go to. If they do part of the job and somebody else is subcontracted the other, and something goes wrong with that part of it, they're both gonna say, no, it was the other guy's fault.
Okay, well, I can take that back. I do think that for,
since this has already expired, let's, we
yes,
can address this with them and the other, and Cutter. Both of them, that way they have both an opportunity to do
Okay.
that, and then let's see to include the whole thing. And that way, in
Yeah.
2 weeks, we can move forward. with this.
100%.
and, yeah.
Not including the pad.
Yeah, just
Correct.
see, well, just, I mean, while they're bidding it, again, or giving us another quote, let's see what it's a turnkey to where
Okay.
they do everything.
I think that the thing is, these people are traveling here, and so maybe like, that will,
Well, I would assume the electrical and the concrete pad would have to be subcontracted to somebody else, but we could provide the forklift.
yeah, all of that. Of the exclusions, I think the concrete pad, the forklift, and possibly even that for the sump heater, because sump heater is just a little heater, right? But I will get with Breezy and say, can you do a turnkey operation? What would the cost be? And they likely, and in fact, I might even just recommend that they come and speak to you guys.
That'd be great.
Because, and I apologize, what I
Well,
know about airports is,
I'm just thinking if they would have included the electrical and the concrete pad, then we would have probably made a decision today. I know I would have.
And being that this bid's out of date,
It is-
there's
it
no,
is,
we can't vote on it anyway, so, if they can redo it, I make a motion to table.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
oh, sorry. Commissioner Moulter,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
and Commissioner
And then over here in new business, we have basically the same thing, so I'd like to either, on new business, A, consideration of County Road 855, Cedar Road closure. I'd like to put those two, the old and the new together. Is that something?
I'm fine with that.
So we'll just wait till we get to the new business and we'll consider those then. We shouldn't be there, wouldn't be too long.
It was my understanding from Dixie that she wanted it separated in that manner.
Okay.
One to vacate and one on the vacation and then one on the consideration.
Okay, so we probably better take the new business first before we do the old business, because it may, what we hear under new may change the old. Is the only thing that,
Okay.
if we make a decision on the old business, then we really don't need the new business.
Okay.
Consideration of SCRETAC letters of interest. Okay, you want to give us a little update? We have,
Okay, SCRT, it's my understanding that this item was tabled for getting letters of interest for the SCRE RETAC board. And we did receive one additional email from Mr. Hill at the hospital that said she was interested in staying on as an alternative. She did not provide a letter, but we did receive the email, and I believe you have it before you.
Kim, could you give us a little background on this?
Good morning. We received letters from Dan Moynihan, who's already on the board, Andrea Brody, who's his alternate. We also received a letter from Jerry Baccarat from the hospital, who currently sits on Walker term just expired. All these terms just expired. And Irene Trujillo was her alternate, and she didn't submit a letter last time, so she's my neighbor, so I asked her if she could look at her emails and respond whether she was still interested. So that's why somebody got a response. My alternate was Leanne Davick, and then we had Lon Robertson replace her, and his term has just expired. And we have two interests in that alternate, which is Lon and Paula.
And Mr. Robinson has indicated that he has never been called to attend a meeting, but he would serve. He would, if you wanted him to, but he's not been called, and so he was.
Are those meetings set up in advance?
Yes, they're the third Thursday of each month, and the only way the alternates go is if the first one cannot go.
So
And all we need for our quorum is for 2 out of the 3 of us to attend.
so it's already set, so they should know when the meetings are set.
Yes, and it's not necessary for both alternate and the original board member to attend.
So what you're saying is that if the original can't attend, then
Then we get the
call their
alternate to go in our place, unless, like if Sherry and Dan were going and I couldn't go, then Sherry and Dan will make our quorum for our 2. And vice versa, if Dan couldn't go, Sherry and I would go. And if none of us can go, then we get our alternates to go.
So as long as
So
2
there's
or 3
6 of
of
us.
you go,
Yes.
then we don't need an alternate at all.
They like us to list an alternate for each of the 3, but yes, as long as we have.
Okay, so how many openings do we have?
We have 5. I'm the only one whose my term doesn't expire, I think, till 19.
19.
And you have any recommendations?
Well, actually, I do for my alternate. It's just easier to walk down the hall and tell Paula, hey, can you go in my place?
And that
But
helps
Lon,
out.
I don't.
that most alternates are with that same area?
Right, like the hospital, they have 2 hospital people, 2 ambulance people, and then the county has me and Mr. Robertson.
Yeah, Mr. Robbins is not with the county,
I'm not sure if he's with Brenton or Kim. Yeah, he's with Kim.
So we have five positions and how many applicants?
6.
well, let's just add another alternate position.
That's an idea.
Since they don't go anyway.
And
Make everybody know.
just to note, also, other counties have just started not putting a term on the end, so that we don't have to do this every 2 years. That's totally up to you, whatever you want to do. Just wanted to put that out there, that other counties are tired of tracking everybody's 2-year terms, so they just leave it open-ended until somebody leaves, but that's totally up to what the board wants to do.
It'd have to be done by resolution.
It is by resolution. We do, in fact, have a resolution that we could read for you that would be where we would insert the names. But in terms of, I have a question, is we're appointing this, but do we get notices back or reports?
I can give you all the minutes and stuff if you all want to see the minutes from the meetings.
No. But we're required to do this?
Yes, the Board of County Commissioners is required to appoint to the RETAC board.
It's the Regional Emergency Trauma Advisory Council. And so we could, I know that Dan Monahan and Brody, is it? They're both ready to go. The hospital,
Sherry Becker
and then Irene with her late response, that's ready to go. And as we said, if you like, we could do, you just have to choose from Ms. Lucero or Mr. Robertson.
And Ms. Robinson contacted you?
He said he put in a letter last year to
Kim, what are the alternates required to do? If this is a trauma advisory board, should it be better from someone who's involved with hospital and trauma stuff?
Oh, and that's why we have Sherry from the hospital and her alternate, we have Dan, because a lot of that money goes to the ambulance district. The reason the county has somebody is so that we can know what's going on there, because you are the ones who will appoint.
Well, but if we don't have the report and we don't know, then we should maybe do some housekeeping associated with what we do with whatever reports or minutes back.
Well, and a lot of it is grant funding that comes in and out, and the county is just Christie, help me here.
The grant is a capacity grant, so it comes to Los Alamos County, and it's $15,000, and we pass it to RETAC. But I've never actually gotten information back from RETAC, and our auditor is not very pleased with that because we're responsible for this grant. So I would like some information about how the grant money has been spent.
Well, that's a little bit my point. In addition to the appointment, that we have some mechanism that whoever attends the meeting at a minimum provide to the administrator, or so that we could pass it through for the county finance.
Yeah, we're responsible.
Well, I've got a thought to that. We, as commissioners, sit on many boards on different organizations. We attend meetings. They don't come to us, we go to them. Why do we not have a commissioner or someone in our admin attending these meetings to get this information, and they can report directly to the board?
Well, I get the reports, I can give them to you.
So,
Well, in
that way
past-
if information needs to be dispersed with you or with the board.
I looked at all of the past appointees, and in past, it had been the administrator who then, when Leanne was leaving, had, I don't know how long the shift, but it has been Kim and the administrator in past. And then when the administrator was leaving, that's when Mr. Robertson was picked over the other admin staff. And so that could be another
Or,
thing.
yeah, since you're on the admin with us, maybe you can do a monthly report.
I can, I'm also trying to get the stuff that Christie's asking for the grant. We sent emails requesting it, we just haven't received a response.
Or just some sort of, just what's going on with the situation with the organization.
They do minutes, and so I can provide
Excellent.
minutes to
Okay.
everybody.
Yeah.
And I would like to know precisely what is it that we're needing, Christie?
Well, our auditor asked for a budget for free tax. We also need actuals of how they spent the $15,000. And I never received anything after I requested it.
Okay.
For 2016, I never received
And
anything.
that would be from the ambulance district, because
Okay.
that's where the money goes to the ambulance.
Okay,
district.
so that would...
Not to the hospital.
I see. So we give the money to the ambulance district and they give it to RETAC?
No, RETAC gives it to the county, and we give it to the ambulance, and ambulance spends it and buys different
Yeah,
materials.
so the grant is RETAC, okay? And
Okay.
it comes through it passes through the county, and we actually give it to the ambulance. And they're supposed to be spending, I think, on safety equipment. That's what I had heard.
Yes.
That they were supposed to be, I'm saying, but I've never seen any budgets or finances, and I've requested.
And the next question too would be, is it an automatic grant? It comes every year?
Yes. Yes.
I don't know, are you in charge of it, Kim? I don't know.
I'm not in charge of it, I just sit on the board, so I kind of know that
Okay.
every
just
county
know it comes
receives
through
a certain
us.
amount
Okay.
every year. And then also, just like with emergency management, they can come and request additional funds because they have special funding. And so I also sit on that board to where we review all of the grants that come through, and we prioritize, and then we divvy out the money between all the South region.
Okay, well, in terms of money and how we can get some more, I'm very, very much interested in that. And what I would like
Well, it would
is-
be for the ambulance and for
Understood,
like medical.
understood, but for the
yes,
community. And what I would like is, if we can, certainly going forward with this, whoever ends up on this board, that we get a monthly, the meetings are monthly, right?
No, yes, sometimes they cancel if they have nothing
Okay.
going on, but
Who's the
they're normally.
chairperson for that?
Oh, Brandon Chambers. He used to be the Trinidad Ambulance Director.
Have we forwarded the money for this year?
We on the first payment action, because it comes in 2 installments, the 7,500 I think has already come, so that one was sent. Because we wait until the fund actually comes in, so we'll have one more payment coming.
Okay,
And
prior-
then that will send.
Inform them, if you would, that we will not release that money until we get that information.
Okay. And we'll have another meeting in December.
Okay. And I think that that's how I would like to see it. I would like to see the report submitted.
Well, we have to have some
Yeah,
verification where the funding is going and
Okay.
transparency as far as I'm concerned, so.
Okay.
I'd like to see that.
so given all of that, we do have a resolution that indicates simply the format of, I don't believe that you have it, but I have one that we were proposing to do, that if we could just put in the blanks, then we would come forward and have it ready for your signature. If the only question that remains is who is going to be the alternate for Los Animas County?
Correct.
Yes.
For admin.
I have two issues with the one single appointment that we have to go, either Mr. Robinson or Mrs. Paula downstairs. How important is it to have members of this board spread out throughout our county so they can, Mr. Robinson lives out east, do we have people live up west, north, south, or are they centrally located in the city?
Right now, everybody's just in the city because Trinidad Ambulance Hospital, us. So,
And how much does these board members communicate with their neighborhoods or?
I'm not sure how
areas?
much the ambulance corresponds with the Kim ambulance or Branson ambulance.
And do they all work together?
I know that I've never seen a grant request come through for extra monies from Kim or Branson.
The thing of it is that Lon had said, I would like to be on that so that I could kind of see what's going on. They are their own entity out there. They're not
Right.
part of this. They're their own ambulance district. So, and that was one of the reasons he said, I'd like to be on so I can see if there is opportunities for monies.
And that's a good reason, because then we spread it along the county. But I think notification probably is something that whenever the meetings are set, that all folks.
Well, they also
be
have
notified.
meetings, Care Coalition meetings and different meetings like that maybe Mr. Robertson might be interested in attending I can get with him and give him all that
Well,
information.
they're always looking for funding for their ambulance.
Just has to get out there and ask.
Well, and that's the point, I think, Kim, is that if they know to ask, then, because all of them would be in that same boat.
Right.
Well, Kim's the only one that's apart from the Trinidad Ambulance District, right? Or the,
I think Branson might be, I'm not sure.
oh, I think they're pretty much defunct.
Oh, yeah, so I don't know that the ambulance goes out that far, Trinidad Ambulance. I think Lahana covers that area more.
Comment.
Is there anything in their bylaws that say they can't have any additional alternates? Do you know?
I believe the bylaws just say one choice and an alternate.
Because I'd really hate to lose Mr. Robertson out in that area, but I'd also like to have you have an alternate here. So like you said, you can walk down the hall and discuss things.
Well, it doesn't make any difference to me, however you want to do it, that's fine. And I don't think that they would be against Paula even coming with me to learn the ropes and also Lon being the alternate. We can have guests come to the meeting, it's just not a closed meeting to where you only have special
Tom can come
membership.
and film it, and
They're open meetings.
I'm adding you more work, Tom. You know,
He's not listening.
He's not listening.
Well, having said that, I'm inclined to include everybody. And the more the better, the more people we have on our boards and organizations that can help the community and give insight and give their opinions and expertise, I'm all for that, so I don't know how you guys feel.
So how you want to make the motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve them all.
Prove them all. Now, in terms of alternate, would we have alternate 1 and alternate 2?
Just call them alternates.
Just alternates, okay. We will come back with resolutions and we'll fill them in and have it for the next meeting.
Have a second.
It'd be nice to have them before the next retake meeting so I can take them
Kim would like them before the next RETAC meeting. Would you like me to read the resolution and we'll just fill in the blanks? And you can approve it?
I'm not sure the date, but 21st of December. I think we'll all meet again the 19th, so,
We can do it on the 19th.
okay,
Okay.
Great.
thank you.
We need a roll call.
Thanks.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner, who made the motion? Luis.
Yes.
Commissioner Moulter, yes. Commissioner Lopez
Yes.
and Commissioner Lowe.
Yes. Consideration of Jeremy Yoder placing a water pipe on a corner of county property.
Yes, our goal would be to put a pipeline connecting our home farm with the farms right up against county property. And the stretch of ground that we would need to go through is outside. It's basically the northwest corner of the airport ground. It's outside the game fence the county had put in here 2-3 years ago. And it's also would be on the outside of the large south side ditch company, the main irrigation canal. So it would be in between the main irrigation canal and Rusty Shaka's private ditch. It'd be a buried 15-inch underground pipeline.
Approximately how many feet, how much, what are we looking at in terms of?
It curves, the ditch curves around there, so we would have to follow the ditch, but I'm gonna say it's probably 1,000 foot at the most, or somewhere right around there.
Is there any reasons, Ms. Yoder, that you can't go on the other side? Is it because it's private property, or is it because the ditch is there?
On
Why-
the other side.
It is on the other side of the fence.
Okay, so it is, but on county property, on the opposite side of that?
Oh, okay, so it's on the opposite side of the county road?
I'm seeing your,
Yes,
on the opposite side.
on the opposite side of the county road is what you're saying?
Yes.
That is not our ground as well, and it would take it quite a bit of more pipeline, and we would have to cross. I mean, I guess it could be potentially a possibility. It'd take a lot more pipeline, and it's other private ground. We own on both sides of this corner, So that's the natural route we wanted to go, is through the county, because we own up on both sides of that.
So to avoid any legal proceedings for an easement to the other property owner, this would be the best win-win for you.
It would be.
And I think we need consideration for an easement also, if we do this. Phil, I'd like to ask you, do you any problems from your point of view?
No, because it won't be in the road right of way, so my understanding is on the south side of the fence, is that correct?
Correct.
And then you'll tie into the
Existing line.
the line that goes underneath, ADR underneath 36, so.
So
No,
we
it's
don't
out,
have
it's
to-
out, it's outside the road right of way.
So you don't see any problems down the line if that pipeline is there, if you want to turn that into a boulevard road or?
Not from a county road issue. I don't know, the board may want to consider a precedence being set where utilities are run through county properties outside of the county right-of-ways, because I think generally in the past, and I'm trying to remember if there was any other incident where utilities were put outside of the road right-of-way, and I really can't think of any. Not to say that this shouldn't be approved, I'm just thrown out there for thought.
Well, I guess from my point of view is that if we are going to do this, we have to have some consideration for an easement. Because if not, then we have opened up a can of worms that we may not want, you guys may not want to deal with down the road. So I think that this is a precedenting thing, so I think we need to make sure that future we need to do today.
Is this just a seasonal ditch or water line that you're going to be using, or is it?
Yes, it is correct. Irrigation season cannot start before April 1st, cannot go past October 15th. Anytime in between there, if we have water.
Yeah, I think some legalities need to be ironed out on it, especially if there's any breakage on the line and damage to the county road, liabilities, that's something, I think of the worst. Sorry, but,
Okay.
for our residents,
If we have our, and excuse me, if we have our attorney put down some of the things that we have to have, and then we'll present it to you, and then we can go from there. And
Yes, because I think, I mean, we've got several options. I think to connect the two, we can go along the county road. We're now dealing with getting closer to fiber optics and all those lines, which is the biggest reason not to. Plus, if the county wants to widen the road, now you're closer to it. It is a swamp corner piece of ground with a couple irrigation ditches through it. But yeah, if you'd let me know what you come up with, because somehow we need to connect these two properties, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, we'll have her draft up something that protects the county, and then you can look at it, and then we can go from there.
That'll work.
And how many feet did you say again?
It's roughly 1,000 foot. I don't know if you see where I think it might be drawn in your map. It's just the turn is basically what it is. We own the county road in the south, the land in the south of that, and we have an existing pipeline we're teeing into that crosses 36.
Okay.
And what I'd like to do is give her your phone number, if that's all right?
You bet.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
thank you, Schroeder.
Thank you.
Consideration of wildfire protection grant.
Commissioner, this is a table motion then? For Mr. Yoder?
I made a motion to
table.
table.
Yes,
Sorry about that.
second.
Oh, who made the motion?
I did.
Okay, Commissioner Moulter.
Yes.
So Commissioner Lopez and
Yes.
Commissioner Loudon.
Yes. Did you all,
Thank
you
you.
both say yes? Okay.
Amen.
All right.
I said it
Yes.
2 or 3 times already.
Consider wildfire protection grant.
Item F. I believe that this grant came up the last time, and we had a miscue. I thought that the sheriff would be here to address it Derek is here in place today, but I would like to briefly state that this is a grant that has come through. It appears that we have passed this grant in past. The thing that I like is that it is a fire cost reimbursement agreement. And anytime that we could get our cost reimbursed, I think that we should go for it. And the one big thing that I had as an administrator is that when we were looking at the grant was who was to sign, and it was the sheriff as the fire warden. And we had some also discussion about the fact that it was a reimbursement grant primarily, is that the people that were doing the firefighting and say the emergency management stuff would happen outside of this, but this would be so that we would be compiling costs and putting forth those costs so that we could get reimbursement. They're appropriate, they're additional work papers associated with it that would be required. And so it was my understanding as I spoke with Dixie about this, we went back and forth. I also spoke with Kim and said, would there be any difficulty about putting it under the administrator for contact, but then that we would have for signature authority, the chairman of the board and the sheriff for the wildfire person.
Their emergency management.
Yes. And so I've asked Derek to be here as the sheriff is out to respond to any questions, but I think that he is about as cold as Christie was the last time that it came up. But we do need to get it signed. I'd love to get it signed before December. Fortunately, we did not have any reimbursement issues, and but I would like to get it in place.
Not yet, yours not over. Right, Mac?
Yeah, it's close.
It's my understanding that this has come up before, so it's not a new one.
How much money is this
It's
reimbursement available to us? I mean, is there a?
I think that it's cost reimbursement, whatever that, if there was such a fire.
Or as you,
Let me see.
I think it's a brainer type of deal.
These are basically for the state properties.
Yes. I don't know where James and John's SWA is, but Dr. Tract. So they're all in Los Animas County, and purportedly this is throughout the state, and he wanted to make certain that the money, any monies was going to be allocated before too long a time.
You guys don't have anything on this motion to approve?
Well, if these places do burn, like I say, these are my hunting grounds. I'm gonna have to go hunt at your place, Mac.
And you'll note that the kinds of things that will be reimbursed are total personnel, travel, equipment, and fuel, and transport, so it's,
So I'll cover for, even for expenditures for the sheriff's department as well, and is that?
total personnel. And the fire warden, we would be working closely with them in the event that it occurred.
Okay.
Did somebody make a motion? All right.
Yeah. I make motion to approve.
Second?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. It's easy.
Commissioner Lopez.
Yes.
Commissioner Mulcher.
Yes.
And Commissioner Loudon.
Yes. Consideration of County Road 85.5 closure. And that goes back to the consideration of application VR 2017-003 by Pecos River Ranch and LLC. Pecos River Ranch and Resort LLC. consideration of application VR 2017-004 by Patricia Young. So these are, we're up against the 30-day deadline of what we're going to do. I know we had discussed last time of doing a study, and we can still do the study, but we have to make a decision on these, whether we're going to open it or close it now, because we're running up against our 30-day deadline.
Right, and this is where, Commissioner, I believe that it was my understanding that Dixie had wanted to identify that you do the decision on the request before the old business and then do the consideration of the other.
So, what's that?
Come up. A couple of comments.
To be separate. But there's a,
Well, I don't know that we even need, I think we've heard the testimony, and anything would be a reiteration, and I think we have to make a decision based on we either keep it open or we close it permanently, and then we can go back and decide what we want to do on a seasonal basis, if we want to do anything. But at this point, we have to decide whether we're going to keep it open or closed. Keep it open and closed.
right.
Then we can take into some other considerations if we want.
And Commissioner, for housekeeping, we would be considering item C for the application of, vacate by Patricia Young and also by Pecos River. Do them together? Okay.
Phil, could you come up? I had a question for you. We got an email from you regarding the Huft and locking gates. Can you explain that to the media and the public?
Okay, I'm shooting from the hip here, but according to my contact with Colorado Department of Transportation, for seasonal roads, the board has the authority to close the roads when it comes to inclement weather or other conditions. And as another case in point is the Cordova Pass, where that goes through Forest Service property. We do close that road, which is permissible. And when it comes to locked gates, what my contact with the DOT in essence said is that to reinforce those closures, locked gates can be put up. But the locked gates need to be opened at the end of those closures. So it'd be they could be closed and locked for that seasonal closure.
Well, let me ask you another question, and I understand that about the snow, but let's say we get a 4-inch rain up there in the middle of July, and it washes the heck out of something. Is that permissible then to, again, close and lock the gates?
I don't have the statute in front of me, but if memory serves me correct, yes, the board can close roads on a temporary basis for inclement weather. And I think you're also allowed to, when it comes to the size of vehicles, weight-wise, on county roads too. So yeah, my answer to that would be yes, you can. A lot of times that falls back, and I hate to say it, back to the purview of either the foreman or myself. If there's a washout that's bad enough we need to close a road because we can't get to it in a timely fashion and make it passable, then we'll go ahead and close the road also, which is permissible by statute.
So we could, if you had a washout, we could lock the gate to keep people from...
I believe you could, if the board took action and said this road's closed, then we close the road.
Because if you got up there and it's washed out, there's some places it'd be tough to turn around.
A lot of them.
On a side note, while we're at CCI as well, Mr. Dornkamp is well revered by his colleagues up there as well. He's very well thought of. So the people I talked to about you, so.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
No, they talk very highly of you, so you do a great good job, so.
Any other questions for?
I just wanted him to explain that to the media and the folks here.
Okay, well, we need to take up B and C. BR 2017-003 by Pecos River Ranch and Resort LLC. Consideration of application, well, we need to take one and then the other.
I want to make a statement before we move forward with this. Well, we've reviewed this case and this road very thoroughly. There's a lot of issues with it. And before we make, I make a decision on it, I just want to be clear that there needs to be more work done, more investigating on this road, like Mr. Loudon addressed about a study. But we are on a timeline and on a deadline that we have to by law. But the future of that road really needs to be thoroughly investigated further with the study, and also the closing gates of the places, the location coming right out of that ranch up on the Mexico side border up there. I believe it needs to be moved from where it's at presently now because it comes right into the residence yard. There's no place to turn around. Having said those two items, they'll need to be addressed immediately. Or we can't do the study until the roads are reopened next spring, in May, I believe. And also possibly, when that does happen, of changing the dates of the road, and looking at those things. And that way we can actually see how much is being used on it or not used on it. But the biggest concern too is the safety of the families that live up there. And the people that travel up there not knowing that they're driving through someone's backyard, or if they are going to possibly hurt the family or rob them or something like that. It's a public road gate right there at the residence. We can move that, and I think that needs to be addressed.
Anything?
No, I agree with Mr. Commissioner Lopez. I think the gate needs to be moved, and that's about all I got. He pretty much said everything that I was going to say.
May I ask, whose gate is it?
Well, it's on our county road, but it would be on the New Mexico side. Or the,
It's Colorado. It's on Colorado, but
Yeah.
Okay.
it's on that southern end of the road, the far south end.
do I hear a motion?
To, basically to approve what the planning commission recommended.
It's however you want to do it. The commission recommended that it stay open on both of those deals, and so
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation of the planning commission with conditions and parameters of doing the study next spring, next summer when the road opens, and moving the gate where we lock it from where it's currently at to a different location where we all drove up there and took a look at. So with Mr. Dornkamp and his help in relocating that gate for the safety of the family that lives up there.
You said being able to lock the gate?
Yes, we can lock the gates.
Okay. Yeah, with those changes to what the planning commission do, I second that.
So in
Okay.
essence, what for clarification, is that we're gonna keep the road open seasonally and be able to lock the gates when it is closed on both ends. Is that essentially?
And
And
relocate the gate
moving the south gate to the south where people can turn around.
and conduct a study, so then we can reevaluate the necessity of that road being open.
Okay, so is that 003, you wanna take them both all together?
Just a moment, just a moment. Relocate the gate on the south end. and do a study. Okay.
Okay.
Commissioner, did you second?
Yeah.
Commissioner Mulcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez.
Yes.
Commissioner Loudon.
I am reluctantly going to say yes on this. This is we've seen it. This is the second time for me. You guys this is your initial. There's some real problems both ways. I understand them. But I think this is a step in the right direction to get some study next year to see what we really have. And I mean, it's not just the amount of use, but I think there's a lot of things that need to be studied about this to see whether we want to keep it open or closed. And so I am in agreement with what the motion was today and vote yes.
For housekeeping matters, I'm still curious in terms of on relocating the southern gate. Who do we speak to? Is that our gate? It's to Phil?
Yes. It'll be in conjunction with, the way I see it is the landowner there and Phil, the road and bridge supervisor, and what kind of works. I mean,
Okay.
I think some of the things that need to be taken into consideration is if there is a locked gate there, have they got a place to turn around? If an 18-wheeler shows up there, have we got a place to turn around? I mean, I think those are some things that they need to look at to see whether, okay, this is where is the best place to do it. The way it is now, that gate is closed. It's not locked, but it's closed, and there's really no place to turn around.
Yeah, and I mean, truly, the two reasons, the lock gate and moving the gate is for the public safety.
For public safety, okay. And
On both parties, those that live there and those that are venturing out onto the road.
okay, and again, seasonably would be identified as a time certain. Do we have to state that now, or is that part of a study?
I think that's part of the study, but I think that's something that we will take up in the new business.
Okay,
We'll set some
okay.
parameters.
Okay,
We did both 003 and 004
Right.
conjunction.
Go ahead. Yes.
I think you guys know me. I just want to thank you guys for coming to look at that road again and for taking this under consideration. I know, like you said, Mr. Loudon, there's two sides here, you know, it's you guys' decision to try to come up with a bit. Mr. Rice, can he lock a gate on the north side? Just so we know.
I think that will be taken up in this next thing, is we'll put some parameters there, and there's some discussion on that. But, yeah, once we close the road, once it is officially closed, whether it's...
Now it's closed due to the previous decision. You know, it's in that seasonal closure, and we still have people coming up there, though. So we have the gates in place. So I don't know if you guys could make that decision now in order for us to know.
Well, with Mr. Dornkamp.
it follows right immediately after this discussion, I believe, is on
Yeah,
new business.
we're gonna get on to
Okay.
the next one here.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna decide that,
Okay.
and there's some discussion on that, and...
Well, Mr. Dornkamp said that we can lock,
Okay,
right? So I don't see why not.
okay. All right. And then you guys had also discussed possibly during maybe an earlier closure in the fall time. Would that be discussed today, or?
That's gonna be
Yeah,
discussed.
that'll
Okay.
be discussed
All
now.
right. Well, I just wanted to thank you guys because you guys really looked into it this year, and I appreciate that.
That one was loud.
Okay.
He's got-
Yes.
This is,
I'm Carlos Sandoval from down there in that part of the country. I'd like to know what your definition of seasonal is.
That's what we're gonna discuss here in this next.
Yeah, but I mean, it's now from October to June.
it's-
There's no season that goes there, you know, we have 4 seasons, you know, and I'm sure you're all aware when they are, but,
We have winter, spring, construction.
how's that?
We have 4 seasons. We have.
Yes, I know that.
No,
We should all know that. We should all know that.
No, I was joking, Carlos.
Yeah, okay.
Winter, summer, or winter,
Yeah, summer
spring,
and fall.
construction, and fall.
Yes, I
Construction
understand.
season. That's for
But,
Mr. Winter.
I just mentioned, it doesn't matter to me, but if Mr. Rice locks the gate down there, I can't get into my diversion. What I do with that?
On the north end?
Huh?
On the north end?
Yeah, what I do, now there's a gate, they don't lock it, but they shut it, which has no reason to be shut because the county has a cattle guard there. And they cleaned it about 2 or 3 years ago before you two guys were on it. We've had this discussion many times. And actually, if Mr. Bowie wanted to get to portion of his property, you lock that gate, he can't get there. And I can get to my diversion, which is only about, maybe, well, I have to go into Mr. Rice's place to get to my diversion, you know. And I think, don't the guy have a right to get to his ditch diversion or not? I don't know. The statutes of Colorado or something like that.
Hang tight, let's get to new business consideration of County Road 85.5 seasonal road closure so that we can be official on this and then, okay, go ahead.
That's all I wanted to know was,
Well, on that diversion, is it, you use that, you only have to access that during the summer?
I have to access it anytime. If it washes out, then I have to go fix it. Just like he said with the road, you know, period. Summer, whenever the water commissioner has to go check it out and all that stuff, you know, that, I mean, it's a diversion there.
But there wouldn't be anybody watering during the winter, right?
Yeah, there's water in the winter.
Oh, there
Over
is.
here, we irrigate, I'm irrigating right now.
Okay.
You know, it's hard, if you're not a rancher to understand this, but
You know, and I mean, and I appreciate you bringing that up because these are, but I think those kind of things can be worked out with an agreement, that, you know, if you need to get to your ditch, then you're gonna have access to it. We're not gonna close anybody out that has to get to their property. There will be,
It's mainly to keep the general public off your property. It's to protect you and the landowners that are.
I'm not a landowner on that road. I am on down below, you know, way down where the road starts.
but your diversion is up that road.
Yes. It's up there. And then, for the public, I don't know, it's
What ditch is that, Mr. Sam?
it's a Juan Vasquez.
Juan
It's got-
Vasquez?
Yes, sir. And it's got a way good priority, way long time ago.
Who's the ditch boss?
We don't have ditch bosses. I'm the ditch boss. Well, everybody's the ditch boss. You're going too far. You're overthinking everything. We don't have ditch bosses. We just do, I own the whole ditch. So I'm the boss.
Well, on my ditch line, we have they come and.
Yeah, I know. I mean, everything is different. You gotta understand that.
But you did bring up the fact that the water commissioner had to be able to get up there.
Yeah, he does. That's right.
Prompted the question.
Well, I don't see a problem of allowing Mr. Sandoval or Jeff up there
They have to have access.
to have access. I mean, what we're trying to do is keep people, safe from themselves. And so
Well, you cannot do that. Then you should be on the highway, I-25, I-70, all of them, and then patrol it. You can't keep people safe from themselves, you know? I mean, you're really overthinking it if you think you're gonna do that, you know?
But I think if they're not allowed to go up the road, they don't get themselves in a predicament if the gate's locked seasonally. Where, during the summertime, they're gonna be able to access that road and go through it and
Yeah.
enjoy it. But, I would hate for somebody with, say, an infant during the winter, go up there and get stuck and and, endanger themselves that way.
I understand that, but that goes for every county road in the county, the same thing. I mean, there's snow, and this and mud and washed out things. You can't, I commend you for trying to think that way, but you can't protect everybody from themselves. There's a lot of people that don't know any better. You can read a paper or something where some people get lost, they try to take a shortcut, and they die and all that sort of stuff.
You're saying the truth, but as a commissioner, we have an obligation to protect people, especially on this road. This road is not a regular county road that's flat, runs for miles, miles, miles. This one goes straight up and down, it's only 12 feet wide.
There's a lot of roads that are not flat. They're up and down.
But this one doesn't have a blade that goes up it in the wintertime to clear the snow.
Well, you don't have to go blade in the wintertime. Nobody's
Well, that's
saying
why we're
that.
trying to close it seasonally.
Yeah, seasonally.
Yeah.
Not from October to June. There's no seasons like that. But if you guys are going to keep reviewing this, well, that's, fine. I'd be happy to meet with you guys or something.
It'd be great to have you part of the study as well. So
And stuff like that. Steady it good, steady. Because, these gates, that Mr. Betteridge, he put his own cattle guards there so that he wouldn't have to open gates. You know what I mean? He done it at no cost to the county. And the county cleaned that one cattle guard on the north side so that they wouldn't shut the gate, but they still keep shutting the gate summer or winter, not locking it, shutting it. You know what I mean? And so that discourages people. People drive up, there's no place to turn around there. People drive up and see the gate, they say, oh, we can't go through there, around and back.
But I think what the issue we have that current condition now, and we still have people going through them.
How's that?
We have that now, we have the gate shut, and we have people going through the gate, and there's signs that say road closed.
Yeah, but they do this summer when the road is not closed. The gate is there. The sign isn't, but the gate is.
I walk up there quite a bit. There's a place you can turn around. On this side of the gate.
Steve, would you please?
But yeah, there's a place you can turn around south of where the gate is.
Is that
Turn off
on
your-
this side, down here or up
You talking the south side or the north side?
South. So when you come across the New Mexico border, you come up that road, the parking area is to your left. Then when you get a little bit further up on your right, there's a place where you can turn around.
Yeah.
If it's dry. If it's dry, you can, and if there's not a whole bunch of snow. But it has to be improved, in my opinion. You have to go up there and look at it. There's a stone picnic bench there. Chico Rica Creek rolls through
The
there.
people who go to the Lake Dorothy area, they can go to that picnic thing and
Yeah.
stuff like
And
that.
and that's exactly what we were thinking, is moving
Yeah.
that gate further to the south to where people can actually turn around right there in that picnic
Yeah,
area.
but then they can't use their own place there to go picnic.
Well,
I mean, you have to really steady it now. Don't just go through there one time real fast and say, okay, we'll do it this way, we'll do it that way. Go steady it, go ask people, go talk to some of the people who like to go up there and stuff like that. Now, I'm glad you didn't close the road now, you're still gonna think it over, I know this. As soon as we change commissioners, this thing will come up again.
Well, that's the issue I have, Carlos, is this issue's come across a couple times now, maybe 3 times.
Yes.
It's costing you money. Every time it comes before this board and the planning commission board, it's costing our taxpayers money. It's time we do a study, do it properly, and come to a good conclusion for everybody.
I can understand that, and, I appreciate that. In fact, about 2 years ago when it come up, the first time you was here, I had a petition for about 150 names on it. I gave it to the county secretary to give to the county commissioners. They never saw it. And there was 150 names on it, a petition that we gathered from the people. They never saw it. The secretary never did give it to the county commissioners. So now, do we have to do this again? Should we do it again? You tell me what to do. I mean, we just like to, and the public, they have a right to go over it if it's a county road in the summer and stuff like that. And that there was a Boy Scout there about, I'd say damn near 3 weeks ago. The troop master came down with his Boy Scouts all the way to the bottom from start to finish. And then walk back up for merit badges or for 20-mile hike or stuff. And, you know, I mean, people walk in the mud.
Well, but like Commissioner Lopez said, I think, you know, this has been before us.
Yes, not
or
before
the
you,
Board of County
before
Commissioners.
the
This is
other
our
board.
first time, but what we're gonna try to do is come up with a resolution that from here on out, it's good for both parties, for everybody, and it's safe for the public. And that way, you're not wasting your precious time in a day coming here, and Mr. Walton, you know, he's got things to do, and that way it's good for everybody. I think we can come up with a happy median here, and that way it never has to be brought up again, to where it's, all parties will be.
I hope
Some
it
give
never
and
is,
take
but
with
I
everybody.
think it will. I don't, the minute we change commissioners to be, but thank you for your time and all that, appreciate everything.
Thank you,
Mr.
Carlos.
Lowe. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, what do we want to do on County Road E 5.5 seasonal road closure? Are we good with what it is now? What is it now, Phil? We're going to get your exercise in today.
Yeah, I need it. I believe it's from the end of October to the 1st of June.
What did you say? I'm sorry.
End of October to the 1st of June.
Do you have any reason to change those dates, either expand them or contract them or do anything like that?
No. I've not heard any feedback on those dates, with the exception of, I need to remember to close them when they're supposed to be closed and open them when they're supposed to be open. They being the gates.
I think, for me, I think I'd rather see it seasonally. I'd rather see it open Memorial Weekend and kind of maybe close the first week of September for maybe Labor Day. You know, that way people, do we get a little snow in September? Not too much, but
Sometimes.
sometimes we do.
Well, I like to, do the same thing, possible scenario, but also with the study, along with the study, we can also investigate with expenditures, costs. County roads, we don't address that road very much, it's more of a deep trail. Standards don't have to be anything in particular, like we discussed before. But if we are gonna have it as a county road, then we probably should maintain it a little better than it is. But then what's that gonna cost us? And so all these are gonna, expenditures, offsets, will come into the study when we do this next year. And if we do it, maintain it a different way, or if we don't maintain it, the revenues from government come in versus the taxes of the property owner if it's closed, we really need to investigate it very thoroughly. But in the meantime, I would like to probably see possibly changing the dates of that, as well as locking it and relocating, like we said in the before, relocating that gate on the south end of the property. I think that really needs to be done. We can go up there and evaluate it, or Phil, you can, and give us your input, what you think, and what's your best idea. We've seen it, we've been up there, but that'd be for the short term, and then after we do the study, then we can make a decision on the long term. Because it won't need to be addressed to the planning commission, we can, as a board, can address it ourselves. So it won't have to be brought up again through the planning commission.
And I think some signage with some better verbiage, I mean, road closed, that's pretty self-explanatory, but, you tell somebody, don't look through that door, they're gonna look through that door, but maybe some signage with some better verbiage, saying this is for your safety or something.
Four-wheel drive only.
Or warning.
Basically like a warning type thing.
I think that needs to be there even when it's open.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah, exactly.
I agree.
Well, that depends upon, if Commissioner Lopez is talking about increasing the maintenance on it, we can do that, so. If that's the direction the board wants to go after the, after the study's complete, then
And if the amount of people using it, utilizing it, it offsets it and it shows it's, well-versed, then possibly we look at maintaining it better or the opposite, so. But we won't know that until the study's done.
Well, I think that's maybe what Mr. Sandoval kind of alluded to, is that at this point, folks don't know when it's open, when it's closed, although they should, because the dates are clearly stamped on the signs. But also, I guess I would think that if gates are closed, like he mentioned down in the south end year-round, and some of them are, or there's one that has been in the past, and people may get the idea that the road closed, or it's been vacated, and it's no longer a county public road, so. But that's something I guess we can always address next spring after the study's done. So your thoughts now are to close it from Labor Day to Memorial? And let me tell you how we do the Cordova Pass. When the first snow hits on Cordova, it's bad enough that we don't want to send equipment and staff up there to try and clean it. That's when we close the road. And then we don't open it. We try and have it open Memorial Weekend. The Aguilar crew does.
Well, that's basically what you're saying, Dean, is you'd like to have it open Memorial Weekend?
Yeah. And through Labor Day.
Weather permitting.
Yeah.
And also, we'd probably have to, if we decide to locks on both sides, get access to the property owners. And combinations, if we do a combination lock for those, Mr. Sandoval and other people, they can all have the same one lock or something. I mean, any thoughts on that, Phil? You said we can.
The county would need access through those locked gates. How the board wants to do that, whether it's a keyed lock or a combination, it doesn't matter.
Combinations get
Spread around too much.
spread
Yeah.
around. Keys get duplicated.
What if the county had their own lock and we had our own lock?
And that's what I was just thinking, is that everybody that needs it has their lock. And then if they go in, we know who it was.
How does that work?
Unless somebody wants to be ornery and locks past one of those locks, but that's a, that's a problem we'll address. if
Or they
we
all
have
get
to.
filled with glue.
That still happens? Yes. Okay.
And about the gate, or is the board thinking about trying to get that gate moved yet this winter? Or, because I imagine the frost line's probably fairly deep up there already.
Yeah, we've had, just here lately, the last couple of days, it's gotten cold.
I think probably that's something we maybe wait
Study.
till spring.
Yeah.
We put up a temporary barricade or something up there, further down, that way they don't have to drive up to the,
Maybe some, well,
so that's not permanent.
As long as
they're
Walton's
gonna
are,
have to go through.
yes, as long as they're willing to get out. and move.
If we use like a type 4, type 7 barrier, you won't be able to move that barrier.
Well, like I told you guys, we have a gate there now that we have by our sign, and we could lock it there until another gate was able to get put in. And then Mr. Rice, if he just started locking, we just take one lock and somebody else doesn't. So as long as we're in agreement, we could lock ours and then he could lock his.
You need to be up speaking in the microphone.
I told Melissa this happened last time. Yeah, just as long as we're in agreement with Mr. Rice, and when we lock and then he locks, then I think it'll work. And I think on his gate, where his property starts, if he locks that, and then we have a swinging gate by our sign that you guys drove through, we could start locking that now until the permanent gate gets put in, for this year anyway.
As long as we have access to it, to the county as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to make sure emergency responders access.
Yeah.
And I think also, maybe a sign before the sign saying, warning, road closed ahead, do not, turn around now type thing, maybe, just kind of warning them.
Yeah, because they're at the state line, where the pavement ends, New Mexico, the state of New Mexico always clears the road up to that point.
Yeah.
But then they don't go on up. We always do that ourselves. So if a sign was put there, then people could at least turn around and not
Until
keep.
until next spring, when we'll
Yeah.
put a gate in.
Yeah.
Is that where you'd want to put that, or would you want to put that road closed ahead sign at the picnic area they were talking about? Or,
Probably right past that. That way they could turn around there. I mean, if there's a truck and trailer go up there, like you said,
That, I'd like to have it where they can turn around, that the road is closed ahead, and then they can go ahead and go on up there, because they're gonna do it anyway, just to see if that sign's really for real.
I guess what I'm asking though is if we put a sign there that says road closed ahead down at the, just across the state line, and then we decide to put the gate further up by the picnic area, and we have to train humanity again that we move this sign then up there,
I probably would.
just leave it right at the state line, we put the gate up by the picnic area eventually probably, and then, okay, that'll work.
Yeah, I think like road closed ahead sign.
Well, you'll see, they're really telling the truth.
Yeah.
It really is closed.
Then who do you call when you're stuck? No.
They call the
That's
Waltons.
when they
Yeah,
get Waltons.
that's they call the Waltons.
So do we need a motion?
I think so, and clarify everything so we've got it. So it could
Okay.
be-
Go ahead, Dean.
So, I'll try to get this thing, but, so I'll make a motion that we have a seasonal road closure from weather permitting from, Labor Day, or the day after Labor Day, through the start of Memorial Weekend, with the road closed ahead sign somewhere near the state line, and then, of course, road closed sign where we're gonna close the road, and moving the gate to the south, where vehicles and trucks can turn around safely. And putting on landowners and county locks on both sides, north and south gate. Is there anything else that needs to be added to that?
We'll know next spring.
Until we, and then we have to address this in the spring when we really build the gate. What he said, I second.
Okay.
I don't know if this is gonna help them.
Come on up.
But Dean, I think you left out Carlos. A little piece in there.
Yeah.
Where people need access, such
Yeah.
as Jeff and Carlos.
Okay, thank you.
In your motion.
With the landowners that need access, that they could put their lock on there. That way, like Carlos can access his ditch and stuff like that.
Okay. If I've got a lock on there, and on me, because I gotta get up there. Can I take 10 cars with me when I go?
You got a sharp knife, you can split hairs all day long.
That was gonna be another point that I raised, because someone with the objection of this whole road closure, I could see that as being a possibility. where our property line starts, down at the bottom of the Frisco, in between us and Mr. Rice's property starts, we could also put a gate there and lock it. I know if somebody goes through Ken Rice's, they can go through Ken Rice's, but then they won't continue on up where it gets really bad. So that's another possibility that we could do during the closed time of year, because there's nobody that needs to go up there. I know Carlos says he needs to get to a ditch and that's all, whatever, but no one would need to get up where our property starts on the south side. So we could also lock something there
So
too.
you're saying there might be 2 locks on the south side?
Yes. And we could do that ourselves. We could put a gate there. I mean, it wouldn't be, county.
And we just have to have 2 locks at that point?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe 3 if the
Yeah.
guy owns.
Yeah, he would have his own. Yeah. But yeah, if you guys wanted 3 locks, you could put one on the south end where our property line is and then where Ken Rice's is, just to kind of keep
No, but
this.
I'm talking about the guy who owns the property up there. Is it, what's it called, a mayor or something?
Betteridge. Yeah, we've already talked to
And he
him.
comes in from the south.
He never does. We'd have on both sides.
I didn't think we would be making a motion on a novel.
We have a motion and a second.
We have a motion and a second.
Without regard to the inside locks.
What's that?
Without regard to the inside locks.
We have a motion and a second.
Commissioner Lopez.
Yes.
Commissioner Moulter.
Yes.
And Commissioner Loudon.
And I've never seen Phil have to look up to anybody, Bob. He's a tall man.
But truly, I just want to really thank everybody on both sides for their patience through this. Like I told Mr. Sandoval, we're going to try to come up with a resolution where nobody has to come before the Board of County Commissioners again, and that way all parties are happy at some point in time. So I just want to thank everybody for their patience.
Thank you guys very much.
Thanks, Bob.
And for the record, I voted yes.
Okay.
My goodness, okay.
These are fuel bids for Los Animas County Road and Bridge. As long as this has been, you're probably out of diesel now.
Commissioners, we solicited bids for diesel to be delivered to the fairgrounds. Approximately 7,200 gallons with the following results. Lana Valley Oil, $2.07 per gallon. Acorn, $2.25164 per gallon. Altifield, $2.179 per gallon. I ask the board to approve Lana Valley Oil's bid of $2.07 per gallon for an extended price $14,904.
Make a motion to approve.
I second.
Commissioner Moulter,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez.
Yes.
And Commissioner Loudon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
Consideration of energy impact DOLA grant for Los Animas County and Town of Aguilar.
Commissioners, before you should be grant application that I submitted the 30th, which I think was last Thursday. Yes. And I'd ask the board to approve it, although it's kind of after the fact. It's via emails, it's kind of been dragging on for a while. But we did meet the deadline for the application.
So they're basically gonna pay for what's gonna go through their town. Is that what I'm understanding?
That was the original plan.
Is there a different plan now?
Yes. The original plan was, we was going to pave the old county road, or the old state highway, 53.7, which is now a county road, from the city limits up to where it ends, the concrete portion of it ends. And from that point on, we put down millings and shot an asphalt rejuvenating agent and chip sealed that for the past few years. The town then was going to go from the city limits south to where the I-25 bypass comes through Aguilar. But that's all,
And that's only .33 miles?
yes, from just the city limits where the old highway is, about 4 blocks to where the I-25 bypass comes in, just before you cross the bridge as you're going towards Main Street there in Aguilar. So the state highway all the way from the off-ramp, from the overpass, all the way into Aguilar, all the way up to Main Street, and I think maybe even the state highway is Main Street up to the very west end. So it's going to go from the state highway to their city limits through that residential area, which is 0.3 of a mile.
Okay.
But now they've wanted to do 4 other little streets instead of that one that go kind of towards the school.
Mayor Piano called me on the energy impact grant on this. I was asking if they could change locations. Has that been smoothed out with him? In the town of Aguilar, is that what you're talking about?
I believe so. I'm not sure. What I told Mayor Piano was, send me the information that they wanted, how they wanted to make the change, they did. I submitted an email back to them telling them that generally speaking, the Energy Impact Committee and the Executive Director wants to see roads that are going to be improved, that are impacted by energy. And so I hadn't heard back from Town of Aguilar. I went ahead and submitted the grant and came up with what I thought was a reasonable explanation as to why they wanted those 4 streets versus the one that was originally discussed.
So originally, what they were saying as the energy impact was that from Main Street on out, and now they want to go to the school, which may or...
Correct.
Okay.
And I did stress to him via the email that, if it comes down to how our application is perceived through the committee, that my first and foremost obligation is to the citizens of Los Animas County, not the town of Aguilar. So I need to make that clear. If it comes to a point where they say, well, this isn't impacted, I'll make the argument. If they want me, they be in the town of Aguilar, I also straight says, if they want me to make the argument for them, that's fine. If they want to do it, that's fine too. But that I'll try and argue for those 4 streets, but first and foremost, it's citizens of Los Animas County.
We don't want to jeopardize our grant
Bingo.
for something that they may want to do. Understand? And I appreciate that, because we have to look at everybody in the county, and
Hey, Phil, how is the financial gonna come? Are they gonna, are we gonna pay it up front? They reimburse us, or how is that gonna happen with the?
We will
Because I'm
pay-
assuming it's a
we-
pass-through grant.
We will pay the contractor, because we're submitting one application, so we'll get awarded the grant if we're fortunate enough through one contract.
Okay,
And then that contract's going to spell out whether or not the town of Aguilar's portion is successful or not. But yes, we'll be paying the contractor, and then we'll seek reimbursement from the town of Aguilar.
okay. I just wanted to know how that's gonna go. That's all.
Well, Bill, when they say they're going to donate 15,000, that's not part of a match or anything.
Yes, it is.
It is part of the
Yes.
match. But then they're still going to reimburse for these 4 roads?
The 15,000, if we're fortunate enough to get grant monies, will, in essence, give the town of Aguilar 30,000 to pay those 4 streets. Whereas like ours is a $500,000 match, so theoretically, we have $1 million in to pay from the city limits north to the end of the old concrete.
Any questions? Make a motion to approve?
I second.
Commissioner Mulcher?
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Loudon?
I approve, but as I say, I want to reiterate, and I think the 3 of us feel the same. I hope that if there's anything that's going to put our deal in jeopardy, then we need to think about ourselves.
Okay, yeah, and I'll keep that in mind, because I'll do the presentation in March sometime. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks. I'll vote yes. Consideration of extension of special use permit for Stonewall Fire. We ran out of time, I'm sorry, Lloyd.
Have a good evening.
I would just like to say, you guys earned your paycheck today. I started to say this morning, but today. So I think you guys have a copy of the letter requesting that extension. I'm representing Stonewall Fire Protection District, looking for an extension to that special use permit. Reason being, we too are applying for grant money, or trying to help build that facility. That property just south of Weston, approximately 6 acres. We hope to build a structure there for what we would call a central station.
And I know in your letter that you asked for 2 years. I'm only going to be here a year. I don't want to obligate somebody else to something, so I'd like to do it for a year. I know there is a fee. I would like, from my point of view, I'd like to waive that fee because you've done a lot of things for us, for the county and fire. You've done more work on fire and you haven't charged us for it, so I appreciate that.
Likewise. And a year's fine, and we will try and do that. Hopefully, we will not be back a year from now.
I just have a question for Bob. And then Dixie, but she's not here. Legally, Bob, when we do something like this or waive a fee for this special use permit, does it change anything, any parameters for anybody else that's not, and I know they're a fire district, say Joe Blow comes in here. Could we still do the same thing?
Joe Blow we can't do, but another government entity we can. But if Bob came in as an individual, then in my mind, then he owes it. But we've got another quasi-government.
Because we had that a few months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gave that with the ambulance district in Kim, I think.
So there's no issues?
Yeah, there shouldn't be any issues as long as the board is okay. As long as it's kind of, it's a government entity. At one time, they used to do courtesy stuff like that, and they kind of did away with it, but, yeah.
3 hours to one question.
I know. You see, I'm not used to sitting that long.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
I concur with Commissioner Loudon. I think 1 year would be good, and the fee being waived.
Make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Prior to doing that, may I, with all aspects of the old resolution continuing, and that would be including the noxious weed plan and provide submission approval, all of those items exactly the same? Okay, very good. Commissioner, who made it, you?
I made the motion.
Lopez. Commissioner
Yes.
Lopez.
It'd be an extension back from whenever it expired.
Okay.
Forward.
Got it.
That'll work, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Lloyd.
Commissioner Loudon,
Yes.
and that is with the waiver of the fee,
Yes.
and that will be in the resolution.
Yes.
Got it.
I'm sorry I took up so much of your time.
The end, they saved the best for last. How about that?
Consideration of bills and payroll for second half of November 2017.
Payroll as of November 30th is $152,487.82. In this payroll, you'll see on the second page is the longevity that we paid out, and it shows each department how much longevity was paid out on page 2 of here. So that's why payroll was higher, because of longevity.
I don't see commissioner longevity.
We're pretty short-lived.
I was trying for you, Mac. Okay.
On page 9, you'll see there was some overtime paid. We had 2 sheriff deputies here for the election night. So that was paid out, overtime.
For the what?
For election night.
Oh.
We had 2 deputies here. So we did pay out overtime for that. Bills paid on November 8th because I forgot to read November 8th last board meeting, so I'm bringing November 8th now.
It's a little late, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I'm bringing it forward now, just so that we can have a record of it. So bills paid on November 8th were $34,310.85. Bills paid on November 21st, $87,253.77. And bills paid on November 29th were $62,139.22.
One question I have,
Sure.
and I don't know if it's on here or not, I've looked at it frequently since I've been here, is the status of our financial position with our trash company. I know that was looked at I get phone calls on it all the time regarding
do you?
going over $6,000, which was their contract.
I have to apologize because I think because Paula actually tracks that.
okay.
Like, I can find out from Paula.
Find out when I get done here. But
Okay, yeah, you'll have to ask her because she's the one that kind of tracks that for us. But,
Would you be able to have that on the 19th?
that information about that, of course, I'll make a note of that to tell her that.
I know it's gonna come up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will actually have her actually pull that and we'll pull that up.
Okay.
Because, I'm sorry. I don't really quite remember because we had a conversation her I did a while back, but I don't remember
There's
what
a
it
lot of
was.
stuff in your head.
There is a lot, I have to apologize, but I will get the information and Pete will put it on, the 19th, okay?
Every time I look in there,
That was 6,000, right?
6,000 total.
That's twin and
But we
viral.
did make,
Correct.
I'm saying, because they forgot one, we did add some. I think that's
Yeah.
where some of it's coming.
Yeah.
Because they did, but it's still below. It was still below, but I don't know how to handle that, I don't know.
Well, we had a situation at the airport where we thought there was 2 and there was only
0.
1.
No, there was 0.
Zero.
And then we took 1 away.
Yes.
And then there was 0, so we had to add that back in.
Right. And then the fairground was seasonal, right? Yeah. So, okay.
That's gonna, do we have to put that up to bid again? In the first year, when does that contract up?
I think we listed a year bid, didn't we?
It was a year.
I don't know, is it a yearly bid or is it, I'm saying, do we
This was a
do?
1 year. I was here.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's the deal, is it's 6,000 for the year.
It is, but I think since we missed, I think a few, and like I said, I don't know. I just know that since the airport didn't get one, we had to add that.
See, we thought there was 2 at the airport and the shop out there. And so I told Christie to eliminate one of those. Well, there was only 1. So when we
Yeah.
eliminated it,
So you
We eliminated
it altogether.
Yeah.
Sammy could drive over to the shop and put the trash in.
And so we had to call and actually at least put one back there between airport and Roderburg. Now they share that. They share it.
Yeah.
They do. So, okay, but I will have Paula get that together. And then, I don't know, like I said, I'm assuming it's, because I usually don't handle that. It usually comes from administration, where they handle I guess it's an annual bill that, I didn't know if it was 2 or 3 years.
I think it seems like we do it every year.
Yeah, I don't know. That's something to look at to see if it's yearly, if it's every 2 years. Because I know our auditor, I think, is like not yearly, I think it's maybe like every 2 or 3 years, or maybe even 5 years. I know that. But I'm not too sure about the trash.
I think when I looked at it, it was for the year.
Was
I
it?
think so too.
Okay,
The year before, we had a big discussion about bear proof.
Oh, yes, I do remember that one.
As long as the road closes. Okay, so, anything else, Christie?
Nope, I'm just gonna tell Paula about the trash so I don't forget.
Make a motion to approve bills.
You've got a basketball game this afternoon?
I'll second it.
No, I think Dean does, doesn't he?
Dean does. What time?
Yeah,
3:30.
So if we came back here at 1 for executive session, does that work for you?
Yes, I think so.
45 minutes is good. We need a
Let's
second.
go- let's
Yeah,
go ahead
I
and-
second it. Roll call?
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Moulter,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez.
Yes.
And Commissioner Loudon.
Yes.
And what time is it now?
Make a motion to recess till,
Let's go ahead and go into executive session.
Okay.
Read all this and then Selena doesn't have to come back.
okay.
And then we'll just recess to 1. Executive session, the board will meet in executive session under CRS 24-6-4024B, conferring with the county attorney for the purposes of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions, and CRS 24-604024F, personnel matters not involving any specific employees who have requested decisions of the matter in open session, any members of this body or an elected official, or personnel policies that do not require the discussion of matters personal to particular employees, in CRS 24-6-4024C, determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Lopez.
Yes.
Commissioner Moulter.
Yes.
And Commissioner Loudon.
Yes. We will meet back here at 1 o'clock to go into executive session.
Okay, so you're gonna come out and vote on anything?
No, I think we took care of everything. Everything's on there, so, yeah.
Me neither, but I have to.
Confused about the locks.
So am
I see
I.
a gate sitting here with 15 different locks on it. So you take one lock off because you want to go in, you see they have 14 more keys to get the others off.
No, what you do is you put a chain, and you cut the chain, and you put your lock becomes part of the chain.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I was picturing a whole lot of cluster of locks. Like
No, so what you do is you unlock the one that's yours, and the gate is open. And then when you close it, then nobody else can get in. Dean's got